In this video, we'll go over the events that are set to drop in the month of November. There's going to be 3 unique activities we can do for the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft. Currently, as of beta testing on the PTR 11.5, there's only 3 events and they rotate every 15 minutes in a set pattern going from left to right. On the right side, we'll have Fashion Frenzy. On the middle, we'll have Storytime. And on the left, it'll be Mount Mania. With that in mind, every hour, we can expect to do 2 Storytime events, 1 Fashion Frenzy, and 1 Mount Mania every hour. We'll know which event is currently taking place by one of 3 things. The first is whichever area has this subtle ray of light on top of the event. The other one is the text on our screen dictating which event is currently taking place or is about to take place. And the last tell is the announcer himself who says which event is going to take place. And that is going to be Radovan, the event announcer. Now, for the first event, we'll talk about Fashion Frenzy from Althea, the fashion caller announcer. Every time the event starts, will be given an overall theme for the show, so it could be an Alliance versus Horde theme or maybe even the Fel and the Furious, for example. And then the players will be given 2 minutes to prepare for their transmogs for the show. Thankfully, nearby there are these transmogrifiers who help us change into a new look for the event. Afterwards, we'll be given 2 minutes again to vote on who has the better or like the best looking transmog or an overall look that fits the theme given by Althea. There's currently only a single table with 3 medals or badges on it, signifying that at the time of beta, maybe we'll only have 3 voters in total, and each of the voters has about 5 charges or 5 people they can vote for. These charges count as votes, and the top 4 participants for the Fashion Frenzy will be brought up to the stage and featured on their pedestal. As a general tip to win this event, it's advisable to bring a friend with you since the top 4 will qualify as winners, and winning will help your progress towards your weekly quest you pick up from Yolana, which requires you to participate in activities during the anniversary. Granted, just participating will give you progress, but winning will give you a bit more. So we'll bring a friend and you'll spend all 5 charges to vote for each other, and the more you guys are grouped up, the better. But I'd cap it to about a group of 4 since there's only supposed to be 4 winners unless the other members will be fine taking turns, so they'll have to wait for the next rotation, which is a whole nother hour. As for the achievements tied to this event, there's actually going to be 2 achievements tied to this. The first one is going to be called Fashion Critic, which we'll get just by casting a single vote, arguably one of the easiest achievements in the anniversary event. And lastly, the second achievement is called Big Fan, which requires us to vote 20 times. So this one will take us a few turns, but it is still reasonably easy. Now, the next 2 events are going to be near or in the same area. And first off, we'll talk about Storytime with Lore Walker Cho. To participate, we just have to enter the area where the event begins. Take note that you don't have to be sitting on the benches or the bleachers to be counted as participating. Every now and then when Lore Walker Cho is telling a story, we'll be given a prompt to either like cheer, cry, or applaud, basically emote during the certain parts of the event. So it could be like when the Lich King arrived, you know, maybe you'll have to boo, stuff like that. Now, as for this event, there's not much competition or a tip here since the event itself is just, just emoting whenever the prompt shows up. The event itself is quite straightforward. We'll just have to listen to what Lore Walker Cho says and be ready to click on the emote prompt when it does show up. Now, as for the achievements tied to the Storytime event, there's going to be 2 as well. The first and the easier of the 2 is going to be Avid Listener, which will require us to listen to all 3 of Lore Walker Cho's stories. So that's going to be the Heroes of the Scarab Wall, the Tragedy of Thessarian, and the Mercy of Bane Bloodhoof. The second one will take a bit of time since it's called Peanut Gallery. This requires us to react or essentially emote to Lore Walker Cho's story 50 times. On average per event with him, we'll be able to do 3 to 4 depending on the story, but I would generally go for the Mercy of Bane Bloodhoof story since there is a moment where you can spam a few emotes like when you're throwing rotten apples, as well as the Heroes of the Scarab Wall. There's a part there where Cthulhu shows up and we can throw a bunch of bad apples or rotten apples, so each click or each emote will count towards this progress. And as for the last event's activity, it's going to be Mount Mania, where we'll have to replicate or sort of like do an Asmongold mount competition. So once it begins, we'll have to enter the arena and we'll just have to copy as many mounts as we can from the host Abigail. Every time she mounts up, we'll be given a prompt next to their nameplate to give us details on the mount she's using, or we could just hover over the mount that she has under her character page or character icon. The event will end once she's mounted up 15 times, and the player that matches or manages manages to get the most mount matches like hers will win. The mounts she covers are from the current and past expansions, and even exclusive mounts are included like PvP mounts or dungeon mounts and even raids too. Yes, unfortunately even the gold mounts are included, like for example the Lightforge Warframe. For this event there isn't really any trick or general rules to follow since the event is catered towards the mount collectors. Thankfully though, participating and at least attempting to get one will result in progress for the weekly quest that Violana gives, but other than that, a general rule is to keep your mounts tab up and be ready for whatever mount Abigail decides to hop on. Now as for the last achievements for the last event, the first one is I have that one, which needs us to match just one mount during Mount Mania from Abigail. And the second one is gonna be a bit tougher, and this is called Mount Master. This requires us to match 20 mounts to Abigail. Now depending on how many mounts you have in general, the difficulty will vary. So if you only have a few mounts, it'll take you quite a while since the mounts Abigail gets on are randomized as far as we know. But that's about it. If you found this video insightful, then leave a like and subscribe, and do let me know down in the comments below what event or activity you're excited for when the anniversary does drop this coming November, since my personal favorite is going to be the Fashion Frenzy event. I'd also love it if Blizzard decides to add more events or activities, and if given a chance, what would you put? Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.